Hello, dear learners. Welcome in our educational channel, Academic Domain. Today, I am going to discuss about Gothic novels. In this video, we are going to discuss actually what Gothic novels are, what are the important elements of Gothic novel, and some examples of Gothic novels. Dear learners, watch my video till the end. And if you find the video useful to you, please click on like button and don't forget to subscribe our channel. What is Gothic novel? The term Gothic comes from the word Goths, from a Germanic tribe. The term Gothic fiction refers to a style of writing that is characterized by elements of fear, horror, death, and gloom, as well as romantic elements such as nature, individuality, and very high emotion. Means in Gothic fiction, we not only find the elements like fear, horror, death, gloom, sadness. At the same time, we can enjoy with the elements of romantics novel like that nature. It talks about nature, natural beauty, individualism, and there is a full of emotion. These emotions can include fear and suspense. Yes, there is emotion, but generally emotions of fear and suspense that we can experience in Gothic fiction. Gothic novel is a genre of fiction characterized by mystery and supernatural horror. Generally, we can see mystery, secrecy in such kind of novel, and there is supernatural element, just like ghost, and just like repeating dreams, and there people reincarnation, people's reincarnation, like that. Sometime people just like revive from their bodies. This kind of elements, supernatural elements, we can see often, and this is often set in dark castle or other medieval settings. Means the setting of generally Gothic novels are dark castle, old house, ruined house, like that. Gothic writers means the writers who writes Gothic fiction or Gothic novels use melodrama or high emotion to convey a thought or a message or the theme of the drama or novel. Themes of madness and emotional distress, means emotional painful situation, were seen in many of the 20th century Gothic novels. Means in most of the 20th century Gothic novels we can find high use of emotions, and there is a concept of madness. These are the important elements of 20th century Gothic novels. The Gothic novel was invented by Horace Walpole. Horace Walpole was the great novelist who introduced Gothic novel in English literature, whose The Castle of Otranto, which was published in 1764, contains essentially all elements of constitute a Gothic novel. Means Horace Walpole, who was 18th century novel writer, he introduced or he invented Gothic novels, and he used all the elements that a Gothic novel needs. Walpole's novel not only influenced the 18th century novels, but it has influenced the novel, the short story, poetry, and even filmmaking of to the present day. Means the influence of Horace Walpole is not only of the contemporary periods, but also his influence we can see even in this 20th century and 21st century's poetry, story, novel, even in movies also. Elements or features of Gothic novel: terror and wonder. Yes, the Gothic novels has a theme of terror and wonder. Generally, terror is very much common in each and every Gothic novels, and there is a kind of wonder, surprising also. Set in a haunted castle or house, means generally Gothic novels are set in old, haunted, isolated house or castle or palace, a collapsed, ruined, ancient castle, and generally the houses are collapsed, they are ruined, or they are burned. In such kind of houses, Gothic novels are set. A damsel in distress means a heroine or a girl we can find in distress in panic situation. Similarly, an atmosphere of mystery and suspense. And when we watch or when we read such kind of novels, then we feel a kind of suspense, a kind of mystery. That mystery can be solved at the end of the novel, but at the beginning of the novel we can see the mystery, you can find the mystery in that kind of fiction or novel. There is a ghost or monster. Yes, the novel is generally, has main role of a ghost or monster, and the weather is also awful, very much, full of terror, extremely raining, there is storm, such kind of weather we can see. Similarly, there is dreaming, nightmares, repeating of same dream. These are the some important elements of the Gothic novel. Uh, Similarly, women threatened by a powerful, impulsive, tyrannical male. Yes, there are male characters as well, but some males are presented as a very powerful, very tyrannical, who behave very badly, cruelly to the innocent women. People rising from the dead or possibility of returning to life after death. This is also one of the important element of Gothic novel. Generally in Gothic novel we can see supernatural element or the power, supernatural power, where in some novel we can see that the people are rising from dead body. Similarly, people returning to their life even after death. Good characters are usually lovely, but evil characters have twisted looks and ugly faces, hair looks. And here what happened, good characters are generally they are lovely, full of virtues, but the characters who are bad, who are evil characters, they are presented as twisted and ugly faces, terrifying faces. And terrifying things occur at night, usually at midnight. Generally the terror scene or frightening scene occurs at the night time to frighten the audience or the readers. Moving statues and pictures without any causes, we can see there is a picture is moving or talking, or there is some statue that is going to fall down. This kind of situation also we can see in Gothic novels. Heroine is usually beautiful and virtuous, but often suffers and weeps. And the heroine who takes part in a Gothic novel or who is present in Gothic novels seem to be very beautiful, but very much shaking, are frightening and suffering and always weeping or crying. Examples of Gothic novels, dear learners, I have picked up some important novels which contain the elements of Gothic novels. One of the important, our first Gothic novel was Horace Walpole's The Castle of Otranto, which was published in 1764. This novel tells the story of Lord Manfred and the family curse that seem to arise when a stone helmet falls on his son and kills him on the day he is to be married. The event seems to awaken a mysterious train of curses and mishaps that send the characters in the novel to complete confusion or complete disorder. In this novel, curse is considered as supernatural element, and because of the curse, the young man or Manfred's son died. That's why in this novel, curse is Gothic element. Similarly, another important or powerful Gothic novel is Mary Shelley's novel Frankenstein, first published in 1818, offers a powerful example of Gothic novel. This is one of the powerful example of Gothic novel, Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster is a man-made creation. Here in this novel, Victor Frankenstein is the main character of this novel, and here Frankenstein is a great scientist. He had good knowledge about scientific invention, and what he did, as he was very curious, he created a, a man. But what happened? Frankenstein, a great scientist, construct his creation from human body parts and instill him with life. He created a man, but who looks like a monster, and he gave life to that creature. But when the monster gets power, it turns into a terrible creature and it starts destroying his creator's life. But what happened when Frankenstein created the life or the monster? Then when monster got life and power, it started to challenge Frankenstein, and that monster destroyed Frankenstein's life. Now, later, Frankenstein realizes that he has created a being that he cannot entirely control. Now, after seeing the extreme power of that monster, Frankenstein realizes that he did great mistake by creating such a terrible monster. He challenged the nature, and because of this reason, he got terrible situation in his life. And what he realized that though he had created that monster, he could not have control over his own invention. His fear of his own creation emerges from his recognition that he cannot ever fully understand and control the forces of life and death despite all of his scientific knowledge. From this novel, we can learn that however powerful a man can be, but he or she should not try to challenge the nature, especially should not try to challenge the things like life and death. These things are on the hands of nature. We should not try to challenge those things, otherwise we have to meet with very much terrible situation. Another important Gothic novel is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, which she was Victorian novelist, which was published in 1847, is another example of Gothic novel. It has an exciting story involving strange and traveling events. We can see when we go through the novel, then we can find very much strange and fearful events happen in that novel. Even though the events have logical, natural explanation, they seem to originate from unexpected forces. At the beginning of the novel, various mysterious events happen, and we reader feel that there might be some Gothic power, but at the end of the novel we find that these things are having some logical explanation. While living in Thornfield Hall as a governess, Jane Eyre, who is the central character protagonist of that novel, Jane frequently hears strange noises and laughter coming from the third story of the mansion, means that house where she is living as a governess to teach the kids of Mr. Rochester. And in that house, she experienced lots of noises, lots of shouting, generally at the time of night, and that no one will explain, and she did not know how these things are happening or why these things are happening, and all things keep happening in the dead of night. Generally at the midnight, this kind of events happen, such as her master's Rochester's bed catching fire, and attacks on a guest. When a guest arrived in Mr. Rochester's house, that guest was attacked suddenly, but no one could find out who is the attacker, and people thought that there might be ghosts. Eventually Jane discovered that all of this is the work of Mr. Rochester's insane wife, mad wife, that is disclosed at the end of the novel, who he is hiding in an attic in the third story, and who sneaks out at night to cause problem or chaos or mayhem. Means Mr. Rochester's wife was insane, she was mad. That's why Mr. Rochester kept her in third floor building, and she was so insane that she used to do such kind of terrible activities at the night time. That thing was revealed at the end of the novel. Similarly, one of the modern Gothic novel is Daughters of the Lake. It is an example of a modern Gothic novel by Wendy Webb. In this novel, the protagonist of the novel is Cat Granger. Here, after a recent divorce, means after divorce or after separation with her husband, Kate Granger travels to her parents' home near Lake Superior to minimize her stress. Means she planned to stay with her parents after having divorced with her husband. But while at the edge of the lake, Kate comes across a murdered woman with a baby in her arms. Means she encountered with a dead body who had a baby in her arms, though no one else can identify the woman. Actually, the people who were surrounded there in front of the dead body, they could not identify who the woman was. But Kate recognizes her. Having seen her in her dreams means that Kate already saw her in her dreams. Kate becomes pulled into the secret of the lake, some of which are generations old. Kate must uncover all that is beneath the surface in this suspenseful and enchanting Gothic work from Wendy Webb. This is very much suspenseful, very much exciting and enchanting Gothic work. Here the dream is Gothic elements that is shown in this novel. Dear learner, this much in today's video. I'll again come with you with a next interesting topic. Till then, take care. Thank you. Bye bye.